चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं अङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणम्। कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्नि गौरतिशे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौर राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्षं क्षिप्तश्च काम कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवचाय नमो नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं तारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most beloved, worshipable Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosraj. And Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my to all my Sri Rupa Nuga on this day of one of our topmost, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and a direct disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and then my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. So on this day, we'll hear the glories of Srila Lokanath Goswami from the book of Srila Bhakti Balabhatirtha Goswami, which is titled The Associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that section, he actually speaks about two personalities, not just one. He speaks about Srila Lokanath Goswami and Srila Bhugarbha Goswami, and we will learn why. These are two of the senior-most and the first associates of Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan. The Samadhi from the Gaur Ganodesha Deepika, written by who? Kavi Karnapur. The son of who? Shivananda Singh. Right. I'll keep on quizzing you till it's automatic. So he revealed the identity of Srila Lokanath Goswami in this line from his Gaur Ganodesha Deepika. Lokanath Akya Goswami Sri Lila Manjari Pura confirms this. Srimad Radha Vinodaika Seva Sampat Samanvitam Padmanabha Lokanatha Prabhum Bhaje. This is the verse from Bhakti Ratnakara. I worship Lokanath Prabhu, the son of Padmanabha, whose life revolved around the wealth of service he possessed in his deity, Radha Vinod. We'll hear about that special deity of Lokanath Goswami later on in this. Bhagavad Goswami Samadhi is a very easy place to remember, because it's the only Samadhi in the Radha Damodar temple standing just by itself. When you go around the whole, you do the parikrama of the Radha Damodar temple. You've all done? You've all done that? So you know that when you begin from the deities and then you begin to do clockwise, so then you come into the area where there are many, many samadhis, quite small samadhis mostly. Then you come up on a ramp, and you go, and then you come down on that ramp into the courtyard, where Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi are located. But when you circumambulate those samadhis, then you come to the very far end of that property. And it's just like a little indentation, and there's a samadhi there. That is Bhugarbha Goswami's samadhi. So everyone will circumambulate that samadhi as well. And then come out again in front of the deities, Radha Damodar. So, according to the Sadhana Deepika, Bhugarbha was Lokanath's paternal uncle. Interesting. That means he is the brother of Lokanath's father, right? Yes.
They're also good friends, best friends.
Yeah. That already was told.
Yeah.
But here it's telling that he was the paternal uncle as well of Lokanath Goswami. The Shakha Niranamrita adds the following comments on Bhugarbha Goswami. Goswaminam cha Bhugarbham Bhugarbhotam Savishrutam Sada Mahashayam Vande Krishna Prema Pradam Prabhum Srila Govinda Devasya Seva Sukha Vilasanam Dayalum Premadam Svacham Nityam Ananda Vigraham. This is the quote about Bhugarbha Goswami. I offer my reverence to the illustrious Bhugarbha Prabhu, who is said to have been born from the bowels of the earth. So, what's that exactly referring to? Something like when Sita Devi came from the earth, like that. So, he bestows love of Krishna. He takes pleasure in the service of Govinda Dev. He is compassionate, simple, and always joyful. So that's the quotation from the Shaka Nirnayamrita. Bhugarbha's Goswami's initiating guru was, guess who? Who was he initiated by? Huh?
It's a speculation.
I'll give you a couple of hints. We can continue this guessing game here. He was initiated by, practically speaking, the most prominent associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Srila Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami.
Gadadhar Pandit.
That's all you were looking at.
Just see, he's the most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu.
I thought we were determining that remember we had that class and we were saying he wasn't one of the associates because he's technically Srimati Radhika. And that's why he wasn't included in the group.
Well, yeah, but I mean in other contexts,
Okay.
he is associate. So, therefore, being initiated by Gadadhar Pandit, he is therefore considered to be Gadadhar's branch, because the Panchatattva, they have their own branches, you know. That's given in the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita in some of the final chapters. The whole tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and its branches, all the different associates. Now, Sri Bhagavat Das, a fellow disciple of Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, was also a close friend. Now, Bhugarbha and Bhagavat Das are branches of Gadadhar. This is a quote from the Adi Lila, chapter 12, verse 81. Bhugarbha and Bhagavat Das are branches of Gadadhar Pandit, both of whom went to live in Vrindavan. Now, there's a section, Lokanath and Bhugarbha go to Braj. Lokanath Goswami renounced the householder ashram in 1431 of the Shak era, that's our time, 1510. And he came to meet Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. And Mahaprabhu immediately told him to go and live in Vrindavan. telling him that it was his own intention to take sannyas very shortly and go there himself. Lokanath started to cry when he imagined the Lord with his beautiful curled hairs shorn, and the distress the devotees would feel at his departure. And when the Lord saw Lokanath's anxiety, he embraced him and consoled him with various spiritual instructions, and Lokanath surrendered completely to him. And when Bhugarva saw how unhappy Lokanath was, he decided to accompany him to Vrindavan. The two companions walked through Raj Mahal, Tajpur, Purnia, Lucknow, and many holy places before finally arriving in Braj. Though he had come to Vrindavan on Mahaprabhu's order, he constantly felt intense separation from the Lord, shedding copious tears in his desire to see him again. I mean, can you imagine? Mahaprabhu is now going to start to perform his 24 years of pastimes, and 18 of which are in Jagannath Puri and all of that. And Lokanath Goswami has been told by Mahaprabhu to go to Braj. This we have to try to deeply comprehend, how powerful and important this signifies. A number of things that this signifies. First of all, this is the ultimate goal. Braj, Radha and Krishna, to serve them in Braj. That's the ultimate goal. Huh? But also, the order of Mahaprabhu to go there means that by following that order, just like Rupa and Sanatan were also sent there. Huh? Raghunath Das Goswami, on the other hand, was kept in Puri by Mahaprabhu's order. Gopal Bhatta Goswami also, he went to Braj. Prabodhananda Saraswati, his uncle and guru. So some of these associates of Mahaprabhu went before Mahaprabhu went to Braj, and very early on in his pastimes. So we can just imagine how exalted are these personalities that they're carrying out Mahaprabhu's order, you see, even without his personal association, but of course, obviously, they're getting his personal association. So, though he had come to Vrindavan on Mahaprabhu's order, he constantly felt intense separation from the Lord, shedding copious tears in his desire to see him again. So when he got the news that Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and then gone to Puri, and thence to the south on pilgrimage, Lokanath hurried to southern India in order to join him. When he arrived in the south, he heard that Mahaprabhu was no longer there, but had gone to Vrindavan. And Lokanath immediately set off for Vrindavan, hoping to see the Lord there, but by the time he arrived, he heard that the Lord was now in Prayag. Lokanath was disappointed, but still determined to see the Lord, and decided to set off again for Prayag. This time, however, Mahaprabhu appeared to him in a dream and told him to stop running around and remain in Vrindavan and do his bhajan. Not long afterwards, Rupa, Sanatan, Gopal Bhatta Goswamis, and others of the Lord's associates started coming to live in Braj. Their association cheered him immensely. When Rupa was getting old, Rupa Goswami was getting old and unable to walk all the way to Govardhan, he missed being able to see Gopal. You know who Gopal is? Yes, the deity. And when this desire became strong, then Gopal came to stay at the house of Vittaleshwara in Mathura, ostensibly out of fear of Muslim iconoclasts, but actually to show mercy to Rupa Goswami. The deity stayed there for a month, during which time Rupa came for his darshan with Lokanath and other Gaudiya Vaishnavas. The extent to which Bhugarva Goswami was dear to Lokanath is described in Bhakti Ratnakara. this is the verse. Quote, Lokanath's affection for Bhugarva was well known everywhere. They only had different bodies. In spirit, they were one. And then the other verse from Bhakti Ratnakara. Gopala Bhatta Goswami was extremely compassionate. Bhugarva and Lokanath are a gold mine of virtues. Lokanath Goswami worshipped Radha and Krishna in a state of separation, increasing the intensity of his renunciation. He was afraid of the slightest amount of fame. Thus, he forbade Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to write anything about him in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, with the result that only his name can be found mentioned there. Sanatana Goswami has also mentioned his name in the Mangala Charan to his Hari Bhakti Vilas, as well as in that to the Vaishnava Toshini commentary to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the verse. Vrindavana Priyam Bande Shri Govinda Padashritam Srimad Kashishvaram Loka Natham Shri Krishna Dasakam. I pay obeisances to Kashishwara, Lokanath, and Krishna Das, to whom residence in Vrindavan is very dear, and who have taken shelter of Govinda's lotus feet. Now comes the section on Lokanath and his deity, who was named Radha Vinod. That's his deity. This is very interesting about how this deity came. Now, Lokanath Goswami constantly traveled through Braj, ecstatically visiting the various holy places where Krishna had engaged in his pastimes. Once he came to Kadirvan. You know, Kadirvan, we go there on the Braj Mandala Prikrama every year, and we see the very place where Lokanath Goswami did his bhajan, in that section of Braj. So once, in his constant travel throughout Braj, he came to Kadirvan, and then he visited Kishori Kund, near the village of Umarao by Chatravan. I remember all these names. There's a whole section there of villages in that whole area, and they're all named after pastimes of Radha and Krishna, every single village. So Gurudev would sit in that area in front of us, and he'd read from the Parikrama book about all these different villages and their names, and how those villages' names have derived from various pastimes of Krishna that took place there. Like Umarao, that's the place where Srimati Radhika became queen, and Krishna had to come and submit to her lotus feet. There was a whole drama that was performed by Madhumangal and the Priya Narmasakas, and also the gopis of, crowning Srimati Radhika. So, he was so impressed by the beauty of this site where he visited, this Kishori Kund, near those two villages, Umarao and Chatravan. He was so impressed by the beauty of the site that he stayed there for some time to do his bhajan in isolation. After being engaged in this way for some time, he developed a deep desire to worship Radha and Krishna in the deity form. The Lord knows the desire of his devotees and feels himself obliged to fulfill them. He came personally to give Lokanath a deity, telling him that its name was Radha Vinod before disappearing. Lokanath was astonished to see the deity. Actually, I saw a nice painting of that. And like Krishna personally came, carrying this deity. But what was Krishna's form? Apparently he was like a, tribal, like a tribal Brajvasi, wearing the tribal kind of clothing. So he personally came, Krishna personally came to give Lokanath a deity, telling him that the deity's name was Radha Vinod before disappearing. Lokanath was astonished to see the deity, and then filled with anxiety at the thought that the Lord himself had come and gone. But Radha Vinod cast his sweet glance on Lokanath and said to him, I live here on the banks of Kishori Kund, in the village of Umrao. I saw your eagerness to serve me, and so I came here myself. Who else would have? I am very hungry. Quickly prepare something for me to eat. You see how fortunate it is to be in that room there, preparing things for our Govindaji and Radharani to eat. So when he heard these words from his deity, Radha Vinod, tears began to flow from Lokanath's eyes. He quickly started cooking for Radha Vinod and then made an offering which the deity ate with great satisfaction. He then made him a bed of flowers upon which he placed him. He fanned him with branches and joyfully massaged his feet. Lokanath devoted himself in body, mind, and soul to Radha Vinod. You know where that deity is? In Jaipur. You can dive on there. He's like this. Very strikingly beautiful. So Lokanath wondered where he would keep the deity, and he decided to make a large bag which became Radha Vinod's temple. He kept his worshipable Lord constantly close to his heart. He kept his worshipable Lord constantly close to his heart like a necklace. This attracted the people of Braj to Lokanath, and they wanted so did nothing other than what he absolutely needed for the deity's service. Now, the next section, I think is the final. Narottam Das becomes Lokanath's disciple. Very famous story. Sometime in Kishori Kund, Lokanath came to Vrindavan. He learned that Rupa and Sanatan had ended their pastimes in this world, and he lamented their passing in great sadness. At around this time, Narottam Das, who was the son of the Raja Krishnananda in Rajsahi, now also in Bangladesh. So Narottam Das came to Vrindavan and met him there in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu told him to go to Puri. He cried in ecstasy in a place on the banks of the Padmavati river, which is now known as Prematila. And there Mahaprabhu showed his love for Narottam's later benefit. Years later, when Narottam took his bath in the river at that spot, he was immediately overcome by divine love, and he decided to cut off all family ties and go to Vrindavan. Upon his arrival in Braj, Narottam met Rupa, Sanatan, and Lokanath. And he received Lokanath's special mercy, for he became his one and only disciple. Lokanath was extremely renounced. He had made a vow not to take any disciples. Narottam Das too made a vow to take initiation from no one other than Lokanath. Narottam repeatedly asked Lokanath to give him initiation, But Lokanath was firm in his refusal. In order to win his favor, Narottam went in the middle of the night to clean the place, the toilet. Lokanath was so surprised to see that the place was being kept clean by someone that he became curious to find out who it was. One evening he went and he hid there, chanting japa the entire night in wait for the anonymous benefactor. At midnight, he saw someone engaged in cleaning the place and he began to cry. He fell at Lokanath's feet and he said, "My life is useless unless I obtain your mercy." When Lokanath saw Narottam's humility and pain, his resolve to never give anyone initiation softened, and he gave him the mantras. This is a perfect example of how one can win over the worshipable deity through honest and selfless service. Narottam Das took initiation from Lokanath on the full moon day of the month of Shravan. Lokanath and Narottam engaged in this pastime to show the value of selfless and sincere service to the entire world, but especially to the people of northern Bengal. Lokanath was a very renounced Vaishnava, but he saw in Narottam someone who not only had a cultured background, but an enthusiasm and a taste for dealing with people. And as a result, he asked him to go back to his homeland to preach Krishna consciousness. When one has taken full shelter of the Supreme Lord and is situated on the transcendental platform in full service to the Lord, then he usually has no enthusiasm for engaging in activities for the welfare of people on the bodily platform. When a devotee goes against this principle, such activities increase in prestige. On the order of his spiritual master, Narottam returned to northern Bengal, and he began to preach pure devotional service and thus delivered the people of that country. In his collection of songs, known as Prarthana, Narottam Das Thakur has written the following. Quote, "After suffering much sadness, O Lord, you brought me to Braj, pulling me by the rope of mercy which you had tied around my neck. Maya and fate forced me back into the well of material existence by cutting loose that rope of mercy." What is Narottam expressing here? What kind of exalted sentiment? There's another story, but Srila Bhakti Balbatirtha Maharaj has not decided to include that in this section. But Narottam Das Thakur, he received the direct prema of Mahaprabhu in that river. He's no ordinary jiva. Even his disappearance is amazing. He was surrounded in that river by his followers and disciples. They were submerged up to their chest or neck, and they began kirtan. Then Narottam Das went under the water and disappeared. So these are divine personalities. They're eternal associates in Braj. We just read Lokanath Goswami's identity, and similarly Narottam Das Thakur. But he's feeling like this, as he's expressing in this song, that, "Oh my Lord, after suffering so much sadness, you brought me to Braj, pulling me by the rope of mercy which you had tied around my neck. But Maya and my fate forced me back into the well of material existence by cutting loose that rope of mercy." So that's how he considered. Huh?
Just one question regarding Narottam Das Thakur. I heard that Narottam Das Thakur, his Manjari form is Vilas Manjari, but I also heard different that his other form of Manjari is Champaklata Manjari or something.
Champaklata?
No, or it starts with C.
Maybe Champak.
Champak Manjari.
Not Champaklata.
Do you know what Gurudev mentioned?
No, I have to look. Gurudev has not so mentioned. We have that in the Gaur Ganodesha Deepika. I can look it up right here in this book and see. Probably it's mentioned there in his section. I'll do that after I finish here. But the final paragraph in this section is telling that Lokanath Goswami left this world somewhere around 1510 Shaka era, which is 1588 of our time, 1588 to 1589. He left in the month of Ashad. His Samadhi tomb is found in the Radha Gokulananda temple in Vrindavan. His Radha Vinod deity is also being served in the same temple. But I think that's the replica deity, because the original is in Jaipur. Shri Lokanath Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Shri Bhugarbha Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Shri Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. Oh, look here, one minute. Here it is. Narottam Thakur was Champak Manjari in Krishna Lila. Eternally assisting Rupa Manjari in her service to Radha and Krishna, Champak Manjari had mercy on the conditioned souls of this earth and appeared as Narottam in the village of Keturi, about 12 miles from Rampur, Boalia in the Gopalpur subdivision of Rajshahi district. And this took place on the full moon day of the month of Magh, sometime around the middle of the 15th century of the Shaka era. So that's the answer. Okay, so I want to continue with our topic of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, first chapter. So nice that Krishna is putting these appearance and disappearance days in between, because they create such a mood. Actually, Srila Bharati Maharaj, I want to read one little, because he also has, part of his presentation is what I read in here. They had just took an extract from this book, especially about the deity. So I like, because he says this somewhat often, he says, today is an auspicious Titi. It is the disappearance day of Srila Lokanath Goswami. Then he says, both the Vaishnavas of Virbhav and Tirubhav Titis are equally worshipable. So it is our duty to remember them, especially on their appearance and disappearance days. Their remembrance is our wealth, and their forgetfulness is our greatest misfortune. No one desires disaster or calamity, and hence their remembrance becomes our essential duty. Yes. There's a nice little section here, relevant. This is after he's told the history of how Lokanath Goswami tried to meet Mahaprabhu going here and there. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Shakti Ki Jai. Srila Bharati Maharaj is saying, Srila Lokanath Goswami had vowed that he would never accept disciples because after awarding Diksha, if a disciple commits any sins, the Guru incurs 1/6 of the portion of those sins, just as the king has to incur 1/6 of the portion of the sins committed by his subjects. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, kings cannot remain dharmic, religious, or in other words, sinless. This is mentioned in the Manusmriti. And Srila Jiva Goswami suggested that Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and he tells the whole word. Then he tells the story of his deity and his unusual temple, his bag carrying his deity around his neck like a necklace. Then he says, very important instruction. The title of the section is Not Easy to Remember Vaishnavas. Not easy. He says, it is not easy to have real love and affection for pure devotees. This is very rare to obtain. It is easy to develop so-called love for material things and for those who are entangled, but to develop love and affection for real devotees who truly have our best interest in mind is not so easy. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he's lamenting in one kirtan. He's saying, Prabhu Lokanatha Pade Nahiko Smaran. He says, what an unfortunate situation I am in. Although I've accepted Lokanath Goswami as my Prabhu, in reality, nothing at all ever comes in my mind about his teachings and his conduct. Why is he lamenting like this? Why is Narottam Das Thakur lamenting? Because only by such remembrance does all auspiciousness manifest to an individual. And other than such remembrance, Vaishnavas accept nothing auspicious in this world. Only remembrance. So that's the Katha of Srila Bharati Maharaj. He includes that section about how the deity Radha Vinod came to him. Okay. So just for a short time, we'll continue. We left off at the verse number 7. Let me quiz you. How many introductory verses are there in this first chapter? 14. After those 14 verses, poses various other verses. Listen to the topic. Now we're on verse 7. And I told, because we yesterday had 6 verses, which 6 manifestations of the Lord. Nanda Prabhu, like the sun and the moon, rising on the horizon of Odadesh. Then there's 4, and the other 3. Swarup Damodar Goswami. And now there are 5 verses here for glorifying Lord Nitya. This is the first one. And these are all composed by Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. So this first one, I told yesterday that Srila Maharaj always included this verse in his Mangala Charan. Verse glorifying Lord Nityananda Balaram and how he has manifested in all these manifestations. And then the verses, there's like 4 or 5 verses after this, and they're individually composed. So the verse is Samkarshana Karanato Yashayi, Garbodashayi Chapayodashayi, Sheshas chayasyam sakala sanityan sanityanam mastu. Sharanam mastu means I take shelter of him. So the translation is, may Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Karshan, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the ocean, Garbha ocean, and the ocean are his plenary portions and portions of his plenary portions. So, portion. There's and Amsha, part. So when the Lord himself, those expansions are known as Amshas. And when one of those Amshas, now they are known as Kala, meaning part. Part, Amsha, Kala, plenary part. So here he has told about these different forms beginning with Sankarshan. In the spiritual world, that is the origin. First, Balaram expands from Krishna. But Balaram is very special. Do you know why Balaram is particularly special? Various incarnations and expansions. Do you know? No?
He has 2 arms. Krishna.
Same as Krishna.
No, he is Krishna.
Is the same.
He is Krishna. That is directly Krishna himself, as Balaram is. He's Krishna. What is the proof that he's Krishna? He has a separate and different personality and so forth, and a different mood. But and what is the proof of that?
Right side.
No. The proof that Lord is Krishna. It's in the first chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Because in Chaitanya Bhagavat, the disciple, the direct disciple of Nityananda Prabhu, who wrote the entire Chaitanya Bhagavat, first chapter glorifies Nityananda, glorifies him extensively in that chapter, and brings a reference from the 10th canto to prove that Lord Balaram himself, like no other incarnation or expansion out of the unlimited number of the Lord. And what is that proof? That Lord Balaram alone, no one else can do this, went to Braj and danced Rasa Leela. That's the proof. This is directly from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, where Balaram has come to Vrindavan to appease the Brijvasis and his, and he stays there for danced Rasa. I know what question you ask. Which gopis? We hear in an earlier pastime when Krishna and Balaram and all the gopis and all the cowherd boys, they were observing this throw colors, but not like today where they throw chemical colors. They're throwing colors and pollen from different flowers, and it's amazing, right? That description is very amazing. So at that time, there were some younger gopis, and Krishna looked at them and looked at Balaram, and just by his eyes he indicated, these are your gopis, Balaram. You see? So later when Balaram came, he danced with them, but all the gopis, they took part, not directly, but they were also watching this display. Now, on the other hand, it's also told that there's nothing inappropriate even if Balaram dances directly with Krishna's gopis. But he'll not do that. Because that, just like Nityananda, when Krishna sees the gopis, Balaram does not come when there's intimate exchange. Anyway, that's how we can Srila, but I'm citing this as an example that this is proof. This is which other expansion of Krishna or expansion of these dance with the gopis in them. Can you? He didn't try to dance with them. Not to dance with them.
He tried to
Enter. Okay. Yeah, of course he could not. Okay. But he's not directly an expansion of Krishna, he's a partial expansion. But I'm talking about direct expansions of the Lord. Any incarnation, Lord Ram, anyone. Is there anyone that can come to Braj and dance Ras Leela with the gopis? That's what we just said. He's the only one. There is no one else. There is no other one besides Balaram. So, to the chapter which is describing Nityananda Tattva. That is the 5th chapter of the Adi. The chapter is describing Lord Nityananda. It's describing the glories of Lord Nityananda and that he is actually Balaram himself, and that he's the very first expansion of Krishna, and he's actually non-different. He is Krishna himself. But Balaram has a particular mood. Is the servant of Krishna, although he's the older brother by his eternal identity. He's the older brother of Krishna, but he feels himself to be the servant, and he very much relishes Krishna praying. Here he is Krishna, he's the first expansion, but now he feels himself to be the servant of Krishna, and he does everything in every rasa to serve Krishna. All 5 rasas. He takes his position in all 5 rasas to serve Krishna. So Balaram, he has this mood of relishing Krishna praying. And everything that he does, all of his expansions, because he's the first one in the spiritual world, all other expansions come through expansions of his. Like all the incarnations that come into our universe, they come from who?
Goes Vula Sankarshan and Sargarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, and then Vishnu expansions, the Leela avatars.
From, well, there's 2 Sankarshans in Dwarka and then in Vaikuntha. There's 2 original Sankar. One is called Mahasankarshan, other is called Mool Sankarshan. And from all the Vishnu forms in the entire Vaikuntha planets, they all emanate from this Vishnu, this Mool Sankarshan in the Vaikuntha planets. And then, from that Sankarshan in Vaikuntha, expands the 3 Vishnus, who create the material cosmic manifestation. The first being Mahavishnu. First being Mahavishnu. Second being Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who does what? Huh? No, that's the first one. Mahavishnu.
Garbhodakshaya Vishnu goes into
every universe. He expands from Mahavishnu, and he expands into every single universe, and there, from his body, comes this water at the bottom of the universe, and there he lies on Anantashesha. Okay? Now from him comes the third Vishnu expansion we didn't talk about yesterday in any detail, and that Vishnu expansion is named who? Yes, or Kiro Dakshai Vishnu. Kshir, actually, Kshir. But in Bengali it's Kir. That's what they call it, Kir. They don't pronounce Ksha like Kshatriya, they call it Katriya in Bengali pronunciation. So, where does that Vishnu stay? The third one. And what does that Vishnu do? Yes, in our universe, there's a planet, Shvetadvip. Shveta means golden, and Dvipa means island. So that Shvetadvip is surrounded by ocean of milk, not saltwater ocean, milk ocean. And therefore, he's called Kshiro Dakashai. He's lying on the ocean of milk. Now that's the form of Vishnu whom Lord Brahma, the creator, is able to see, but not directly. He can go to the shore of the ocean of milk. That's there in the beginning of the 10th canto. The story of when Bhumi Devi took the form of a cow and she was crying because she was feeling so overburdened, and she approached Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma, along with all the demigods, went to the shore of the ocean of milk. And through a mystic transmission, he received the message from Kirodakshai Vishnu that very soon I will appear. All of you demigods, you should also appear and take different forms in the human society in this place called Gokul, Braj. So, actually, all of the forms and incarnations that appear in the universe, like the Das Avatars. Das Avatars begins with which form? Yes, fish incarnation. Then Kurma, tortoise incarnation. Then Varaha, boar incarnation. Then Nrsimha, half man, half lion. Then Vamana. Then Parasuram, Lord Ramchandra, Balaram. He's there in the Das Avatars, but we already talked about who he is, especially Balaram. Then Buddha. Then Kalki. 10. These are the Das Avatars. Everyone in India knows the Das Avatars. You see them all around in all the different temples. Where do those Das Avatars come from? They come from Kirodakshai Vishnu and many other avatars, except for Balaram. Balaram and Krishna, when they come, they directly manifest themselves in the universe. They take birth in Braj. And then there's also the other, we call it alter ego, where they're supposedly the sons of Devaki and Vasudeva, and that whole thing. So, what this verse is telling is, in a very condensed way, is that I offer my obeisances to Sri Nityananda Ram. Nityananda Ram means Nityananda Balaram. That's why he's called Nityananda Ram. Sometimes he's also called Nityananda Rai. Okay? But Ram is the term used here in these 5 verses. Nityananda Rama. Okay? So, may he be the object of my constant remembrance. And then he names these 5 different forms. Sankarshan, Sheshanag, the 3 Vishnus. Yes, like that. They are portions and plenary portions. So, now this is the beginning of meditation upon Nityananda. See, the Pancha Tattva, they're being glorified in the very beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita by these various verses that are telling who they are. They're telling in detail. Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining, who is Lord Chaitanya? Who is this personality? Is Krishna overwhelmed by the sentiments and complexion of Radharani? Who is this person, Nityananda? He's Balaram himself, who is the source of all incarnations. Who is this person? Advaita Acharya. He's Mahavishnu himself, and partially combination of Sadashiv. These are not just ordinary human beings. These are the supreme gurus. This is explained. For this Kali Yuga, these 5 are the supreme gurus of all. And they're actually manifestations of Lord Chaitanya in 5 different forms. So you have to get this down. This Lord Chaitanya in 5 different features. That's the beginning, setting the foundation of our understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before we hear everything about him, we have to know who he is and who these other personalities are. And then his Shakti Tattva, who is none other than Radharani herself in the form of Gadadhar Pandit, and the Jiva Tattva, and who is Srivas Thakur, the master of all spiritual masters. And he's the leader of all the Vaishnavas. So all these 5 together are called Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam. So then, just one more here. Now, he composes a verse for each one of these 5 expansions and plenary portions of Lord Balaram. 1 verse for each person. So verse 8 is telling about Maya tite vyapi vaikunta loke purnaishwarye Shri Chaturvyuha madhye Shri Chaturvyuha madhye Rupam yasyod bhati sankarshanakyam Sankarshan Akyam Tam Srinityananda Ramam Prapadye. He says this line at the end of each of these next 4 verses. Tam Srinityananda Ramam Prapadye. I surrender at the Srinityananda Ram. Now he's saying, I surrender unto the lotus feet of Srinityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha. Who are the Chaturvyuha? What does Chaturvyuha mean?
4 expansion.
Yes, Vyuha, expanded. Chatur, 4. Who are the Chaturvyuha? The original Chaturvyuha. He mentioned one of them, Sankarshan. So there's Sankarshan, Vasudev, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Say these 4.
Sankarshan,
Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Repeat after me. Sankarshan. Again. Sankarshan. Vasudev. Pradyumna. Aniruddha. These all have 4 arms. They're the first manifestation of forms of the Supreme Lord that possess 4 arms. Vishnu forms. All other Vishnu forms come from these 4. But in particular, Sankarshan, who's directly expanded from Balaram, that Sankarshan then manifests in another 4 forms. The form of Krishna, which when Krishna was in this world performing his pastimes in Dwarka, Krishna would sometimes manifest 4 arms in Dwarka, but never in Vrindavan, never. But he would sometimes. And his form as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki is called Vasudev. Vasudev means the son of Vasudev. Vasudev and Vasudev. But actually, that form of Vasudev is Krishna's eternal form in the spiritual world in Dwarka, because there's also a section of the spiritual world of Dwarka. These are of Goloka Vrindavan, outer part of it. He's saying, let me just finish this sentence. He's saying here, he says, he, meaning Nityananda Ram, possesses full opulence, and he resides in Vaikuntha, far beyond the material creation. Now told about Sankarshan, and the next one will be the expansion of Karanadaka. You have a question?
Say that. But I heard that he's who manifests when the demons are killed in this Boma. Is it Boma?
Yeah.
So that's it.
He who manifests when the demons are killed.
Like Brajanananda does not kill the demons himself. So
yeah. See, here's the thing. Very simple. And that's explained also in the very beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Krishna is not killing the demons. It looks like that because all the forms of Krishna are eternally within him. It's not that they manifest outwardly and then they're not there inside of him. No, he's full, he's complete, he's Purna Bhagavan. It means complete. Nothing absent in him. So when Krishna expands himself as Vasudev, that Vasudev feature is still within Krishna. In the original form of Krishna, he's there, and he expands outwardly. So in Vraja, that Vasudev form that has 4 arms, he does not manifest outwardly in a body. But the function of Vasudev is what manifests when Krishna kills the demons. It's not Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, it's the Vasudev within him. His function is killing the demons. And when Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita why he comes, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam, that's the Vasudev Krishna who is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. That's not Nandanandan Krishna on the battlefield, who's out on the battlefield. That's the Vasudev Krishna form who is speaking that. Because Krishna's function is not to kill the demons. That's the function of his expansion, you see, or to establish Dharma. That original form of Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna, Brajendra Nandan, you know, his only business is tasting rasa in Braja, eternally. He's doesn't have any duties to perform, you know, by killing demons and so forth, you see. So that's why when Krishna and Balaram went on the chariot of Akrura, and they were on their journey on their way to Mathura, the first time that Krishna left Braj, actually he didn't leave Braj, he stayed in Braj in another Prakosht. It was the Vasudev Krishna who went further and then killed Kamsa and all the other demons. That is the Vasudev form. Okay, so in this way, Lord Nityananda Balaram, Lord Nityananda Ram, is being glorified by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami so that we know his tattva. All these are Gaur tattva, Nityananda tattva, Advaita tattva, Shakti tattva, like this. This is essential. That's why this is a very powerful Siddhantic Shastra written by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Because perfect Siddhanta, Srila Prabhupada told that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami understood perfectly the entire Siddhanta. And he composed Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if somebody studies the Chaitanya, they will very clearly understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching mission and the purpose of his coming to this world. So now time for Artik Gaur Premanandi. Shri Chaitanya Charitamritam ki jai, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pada ki jai, Shri Nityananda Rama ki jai, Shri jai, Shri Lokanath Pada ki jai, Bhugarva Goswami Pada ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavi Namo Namah. Jai Gurudev.
Padmanabha
Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Satar Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Satar Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Sri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Parama Bhagavat Pravar Shri Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Sat Shri Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Shri Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Lokanath Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jeev Gopal Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Adi Shri Gaura Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Lahari Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antardvip Mayapur Simanta Dvip Godruma Dvip Madhya Dvip Kola Dvip Ritu Dvip Janu Dvip Modra Druma Dvip Rudra Maka Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvadasavanatmaka Shri Vrajamandala Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shamakunda Gangam Yamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopishwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakraju Ki Jai. Shri Chatra Mandala Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashkari Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Chari Dham Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akara Mat Raja Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Otat Sat Mat Samuha Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Ki
Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari 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 Bol.
Hey, boy.